Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, the automotive show where we talk about all things automotive, variable ops, fixed ops. I don't really care. If it has to do with our business, we bring on the experts to share what they do so that we all get better at the craft. Because let's face it, if a customer comes into dealership A and they have a bad experience, when they go into dealership B, they're going to think that they're the same. And oftentimes they are not. So that's why the better educated we get, what's that saying? Rising tide lifts all ships, or something to that effect. That's what the goal is of this show. All right. And let me just give you a quick update on the double knee replacement surgery. I am 3.5 months plus out of surgery, doing really well. The walking is awesome. The up and down stairs is really good. The going down the stairs is still a little bit of work on the negatives. All right, so that when you step down with one, you have to hold enough pressure so that you're not dropping your leg, so that you're actually slowly walk down. So the right leg is a little bit more problematic, but I exercise it like crazy every day, and every day it gets a little bit better. So that's that part of it. The exciting part is I have Nicole Ruiz and Jack Gardner as our special guests this evening. There's a lot of controversy around what they do for some, and I have to be honest, I was not 100% on board at first until I had Dave Foy on my show, and he said, there's a percentage of the people that will not come to you if you don't offer them a way to engage that they want to, because they don't need to. There are plenty of choices today. So that opened my mind. So I'm thinking, okay, so if a percentage of the people are not going to come to you, that has to have a tangible cost to it. So I opened myself up to, what? You've got to attract everybody. And if this brings in more people, then so be it. If your goal is to speak with them, maybe this is a great stepping stone to earn their trust and their respect to get that. But in any event, we need to cater to the customer the way the customer wants to be dealt with. Because if we keep trying to jam them into what we want to do, ultimately we're going to lose a lot of customers. So Nicole, Jack, welcome to the show. If you would tell everybody a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll jump right into it.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Paul, for having us on. Absolutely love the show. So it is great to be here. And a little bit about my background. I am 7 years into service lane technology. I consider myself an expert in customer experience, focusing on the millennial generation, being very clear with exactly what they want, and making sure that our dealerships match what's going on in other industries so we keep our customer experience consistent. So very passionate about dealers modernizing and transforming through technology.
Awesome.
Thanks.
And Paul, again, thank you for having us on this evening. We value this opportunity. You have a fantastic show. I listen to it weekly, and again, thank you for having us on. My background, unfortunately, I'm a few more years in the business than Nicole. Nicole's in 7 years. I'm now in 40. I started off in 1978 spinning wrenches. Worked my way up as a master technician, became an advisor, a service manager, fixed ops director. And back in the late 80s, early 90s, if you were a fixed ops director, you would reach the pinnacle of your career because nobody got promoted to general manager position from fixed ops back then. So I made a decision to go into sales. I started at the bottom, worked my way up until eventually made that GM post. My background primarily has been with Toyota. After a number of years, I left. I went to work for the OEMs, and in 2013, I opened Quick, which is my other company. That's we do technician video and multi-point inspection, parts pricing, availability. And in 2018, we started to build Carmen. It's the same team. Our chief technical officer, who couldn't be here this evening, Bartek Chavinsky, who is affectionately referred to as the big brain around the office. So he was the one that came up with Quick, and he's also been the one that's powered the development of Carmen. We're super excited about it. It brings a whole new aspect to the fixed ops end, specifically for the consumer. It's very consumer facing, but it gives them everything in a familiar way. So we looked at industries and what they were doing. And we found that, the best industry for online bookings was the airlines. We found that the best industry for keeping people informed on replacement transportation or pickup was the likes of Uber. So we took the best of what they did and we threw it into Carmen, and we're really, really excited. And yeah, so that's a bit about me.
Wow, that's quite a history. I'd say we're similar in vintage then, since I've been in this business about 41 plus as well. So that means we're both old, Jack.
Yeah. The word you're looking for is decrepit.
Oh, I wouldn't quite go that far. That's a couple of stations beyond old.
Yeah, I've had my knees done too.
Not fun, right?
No, not at all.
Imagine doing two at one. You got to have your head examined.
Yeah, you do.
Well, let me acknowledge some of the guests on here. We have Kenneth Dunner from Sugar Land, Texas. Paul Meyer, savor the flavor of the awesomeness in you, sir. Wow, this guy is always full of compliments. When he throws out the compliments at the end of the night, I can't walk through the door because my head won't fit. Pat Porras, hello from Delaware. Look forward to another magnificent session. Thanks, PM. And Joe Perez from Fixed Ops Pros. Hello, Jack, Nicole, and Paul. I'm looking forward to an amazing show tonight. And Michael Weldon from the West Coast. Hello from the West Coast. Linda Hansen, greetings from Cincinnati. And Mike Larkin, my local buddy who was in West Hartford, is tuning in tonight. Linda says spotty internet tonight, so pardon if I don't participate too much. And my good friend Paul Machine from Black Book. Hashtag data-driven decisions. And data is something big with you guys because data powers everything. And we have Michael Dean Offmuth says hello all. So welcome and thank you guys for tuning into the show. And Mark Williamson, another Fixed Ops guy, says hello everyone. All right, so online bookings. If I travel, I use it for my airplanes. I use it for Amtrak if I take the train. I use it for hotels. I use it for restaurants. Now, Jack, you're in the Boston area. I was at one point, just a few years ago, the #1 user of Open Table in the Boston market out of like 500,000 people. So I told you, my vice is food. Yeah. And they sent me that. So why, I don't know. But the point is, it's used successfully, as you said, in many different areas. It's very convenient, banking, all that stuff. But yet, all the years I've been in the business, I'll walk into a store, and I don't care where it is, because my territory, I went up as far as Maine, and I went down as far as the tip of Pennsylvania, okay? And the common denominator with all of them is when I would walk into service and I would ask them, hey, what percentage of your customers book online? Oh, very few. They don't like that. Oh, really? They don't like it. So where do you promote your online booking? Well, we don't really promote it. Oh, so you're not using it and you're not promoting it. I think there might be a correlation there. How do you guys get more people to book online? And what is the benefit?
Well, I think the first step is to make it easy to use. And the second one is if you can build in familiarity. So if you can give them a product that they've either used somewhere else so that they find extremely easy to use, then people will use it. The problem that you have in the industry up until this point has been that there just hasn't been a simple consumer user-friendly product to make an appointment online. It was cumbersome. It asked too many questions and too many of the wrong questions. So again, I think if you build in familiarity and just make it easy to use.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is really true about being familiar, down to what Carmen does is we added like an ellipsis when she's thinking. And those 3 little dots, there's a Harvard study on how much weight we carry. And adding something as simple as moving 3 little dots when Carmen's thinking, and then she replies back, well, we do that every day. And we do that with our mom or with our boyfriend, whatever it may be. And so there's an emotional attachment to text messaging. And if we can leverage some of that emotional attachment into the customer experience, all of a sudden they feel much more comfortable and they're at ease. And then Jack talked about asking the right questions, being very personal with the customer. The customer wants to know that you know them. And the biggest trend right now in marketing is being personal to the customer's very specific needs. There's no more mass marketing. It really doesn't work that way anymore. It's very targeted, and targeted isn't even enough now. You need to know who I am, what car I drive, and what I need for my car exactly, not a generic in 6 months you're due for service. Because, for example, I live in the city. I didn't do 10,000 miles in 3 years, but I still had to go in once a year, So if you sent me a 10,000 mile reminder, I'd laugh at you, right? So
it doesn't line up with anything.
Yeah. So being very personal is what Carmen can do. And there's nothing else out there. And do you know what? If there was, we wouldn't be here. Right? The results would be there. They would be at 80. Online booking for airlines is 83%. I think Grubhub during the pandemic, I saw usage up to like 67% of all Americans were using some form of Uber Eats, Grubhub, some sort of food ordering service. So you cannot say our customer doesn't want it. They do it in every other industry. So therefore, there's a product issue. And that's where we come into play. And we put the customer at the center. And a lot of times we do tend to think of our own needs as dealerships. What do we need? What works for our processes? And why is Amazon successful? You look at the big companies, Netflix. I just read Netflix, the owner's book on this, but they're so obsessed with the customer experience, and everything is built around that. And the best service is invisible service.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I had not heard about the Harvard study with the dots, but that it makes a lot of sense, because that's how we think. When I watched something from Google where they had, and the person that was part of the conversation, the human, really had no idea they were talking with a computer. But the computer had voice inflection and the kind of the 3 dots that you're talking about. And it made the person feel very much at ease, and they had no idea they were talking to a computer. So yeah, if I'm more relaxed at conducting business, then yeah, I might be more open to, keeping the defenses down. Right? Now, so it's easy to book an appointment, and then like confirmation, reminders, all that. Tell me a little bit about that piece of it.
Absolutely. So I think that is Carmen's biggest strength, is the check-in. And I could pull something up if we want to show the check-in. So Jack, what made you, actually, I want to ask you this question. What made you think of adding the check-in 24 hours in advance? Because that was brilliant.
Well, and Nicole will tell you, I fly a lot. Sadly, in 2020, even with the pandemic, I hit the highest level with American Airlines, Delta, United, and JetBlue. So even during the pandemic, I hit all 4 airlines. So
Wow.
I got the maximum tier. And it is so convenient. If you go back 10 years ago, well, first thing I had to do is I had to call somebody to make a reservation for a flight. Once I'd made that reservation, then when I got to the airport, I had to go up and check in and get a ticket and then go through security. And about 5 years ago, they brought those kiosks along. And if you remember 5 or 6 years ago, when you went to the airport, there was an airline person standing beside every kiosk teaching us how to use them.
Right.
And now when you go to the airport, you can't find an airline employee. And the reason for that is they literally taught us how to do their job. So the airlines don't need them anymore. But isn't it so convenient that 24 hours in advance, you just check in online, you pick your seat, if you want to upgrade it to whatever it is you want to do, you do that. And, it just seemed like the natural progression to build that into a system for dealers. I mean, how cool is it that a service manager can sit at his desk at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the evening and look at tomorrow's business and see that he has 125 appointments and 109 of them have already checked in. I mean, how cool is that? I know exactly what's coming in tomorrow, but more importantly, because of the machine learning that is built into Carmen, there will be widgets and the notes on each reservation. So I'll know if the customer needs a loaner. I know if they need a shuttle. I know if they're going to wait. I know if they have a concern. If there is a concern, I can click on that concern and see exactly what it is. So, don't just make it easy for the consumer, but also in that process, make it easy for the dealership personnel to know exactly what's coming in tomorrow and to be on top of it today.
Well, the great thing about the 24 hours thing is that they're confirming that they're coming in, because a lot of times an appointment will be made well in advance. And let's face it, life gets in the way. I work all the time. And if you've made top tiers in all 3 airlines, you work more than all the time. So it could be easy to have something else get in the way of that service appointment. And you forget about it. It's not that you mean to, but it just happens. My physical therapy, I check in 24 hours in advance, and a lot of other services offer that. So to have that in the car business, yeah, you're going to have less no-shows, and no-shows cost you money.
All right, and I'll show you.
Couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm. And here's the process. So this is what the text message looks like. Just please confirm. And once we click to confirm, let's see. So she starts to ask you questions, and it's going to be, I thought I had a little video, but I guess it's not playing the video here. But so this is just screenshots, but she's asking you questions. So first she's going to confirm the services.
Yeah.
And then let's say I had an issue with my brake. So, okay, is there noise? Yes. Where is the noise located? Rear. What kind of noise? Right? So we're self-diagnosing what all the information that a technician needs to actually do the proper diagnosis. But a few things are happening. Number one, I love it's consistent every single time. Like I have worked in probably 1,000 dealerships setting up service advisors on technology tools. And there is no process for check-in. There's good dealerships are doing a great walk around, but when it comes to, okay, I have an issue with this, it's all over the board. Carmen standardizes this. So whether the customer, and most customers will be checking in by themselves before they arrive, but let's say they didn't do the self-check-in. Okay, no problem. You could actually just hand them a tablet, or even your porter can go through these questions. So your technician gets the exact same information every single time there's an issue with the brakes. And then, of course, this is absolutely needed. Please describe your concern in detail. Or is there anything else you'd like to add? and give the customer an option to use their voice.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's
and
new.
Yeah, this is and this all comes from a background in the industry. You know, if you ask a developer to build something for you, it's going to be super complicated, because complicated is sexy and complicated is cool. But with the automobile industry, having been in so long and you know, started at what some people would say the bottom, which is a technician, which quite frankly, I think is the most important guy in the store. But we built this from a technician standpoint. When I was spinning wrenches and, you know, I got a repair order that said there's a noise in the wheel, I'd go to the service advisor and go, which wheel? Because there's 5. There's 4 that touch the road, and then there's 1 inside the car. So which wheel? Oh, I forgot to ask. Okay, well, what kind of noise? Gee, I forgot to ask that too. Well, when does it happen? I forgot to ask. So now, instead of me going directly to the source, I now have to diagnose 5 wheels. And that's just a waste of my time. And when I say my time, remember, we're charging $160 an hour for my time, and you're paying me $30 an hour. So it's $130 an hour of the dealer's money that we're wasting. So if we can gather all of the information, and the beauty of Carmen is she never forgets to ask the question. She asks the questions every single time. At no point does she think these questions are repetitive. Are they annoying? Or the customer won't know the answer? Everybody gets treated the very, very same. It is a process. Process is something that we're sorely lacking in the automobile industry. And this is a process.
It's non-invasive.
Information all the time.
And
yeah.
So Jack, we should talk about, so the first time Jack told me about Carmen, actually, it was a kiosk. That's what originally, she was a kiosk. And I remember being on the phone with him and I go, well, Jack, I don't go to the dealership. And it's true. So in the 3 years that I had my last lease, I never stepped foot in my dealership. And how is that possible? I did pickup and delivery. And I went back, I got a brand new car, you know, new lease from my same dealer. I thought about going somewhere else, but you know what kept me there is the fact that they do pickup and delivery, and that works for my life. What I love about Carmen is, I'll tell you, I mean, Jack, you could tell the story of how it kind of came to be, but that's the way the industry's going. And so to know that in your mind, know that the customer has the ability to do all this before they arrive, but not only that, before you go to pick up their car or take it a step further, how about remote technician? How are you going to get all of this information? How do you know what to load the truck with? Right? So we're trying to get there. We're going in the right direction by wanting to pick up and delivery and do remote technician as an industry, right? There's Audi at your door. I saw a lot of the OEMs, you know, jumping on board during the pandemic. But what's the technology supporting the dealerships to actually do these processes?
Right.
And that's
because a lot of
sorry, Paul, go ahead.
A lot of appointments, you know, systems, nothing more than a glorified lead form that requires dealer interaction. And let's face it, the weak link in the chain is usually the point of interaction. With your automation and your standardized questions, I mean, that just makes it a lot easier for everybody. We make the best of everybody's time.
Well, I'll go a step further than that and say the following. When you put the human element into technology, technology breaks down. It's that simple. So I have a sign in my office. Well, I've got a couple of them, but I've got one in my office that says, if you're going to rely on somebody doing their job, that's your first mistake, because they won't. They'll always find a way to circumvent whatever it is they need to do. So we're really, really big on not asking anybody at the dealership to do anything. We want, if the airlines can teach me how to self-check in, why can't your local car dealership do the very same thing? And the answer is there's absolutely no reason why they can't. Now, when Nicole talks about the kiosk, yeah, when we built this, we built it to be a kiosk. And then I realized that I was asking dealers to spend an exorbitant amount of money on a kiosk when everybody has a kiosk in their pocket.
Exactly.
So why do I need to build a kiosk? So we did away with it. We redesigned the entire platform so that everything is mobile. Absolutely everything. We are mobile first. And if I can put the consumer in charge of it, the consumer will do it better than the employee at the dealership.
Consistency. I want to get to a couple of comments. Dale Novotniak says, love dealing with Bartek Motive. Retail is looking forward of powering your DMS integrations where we can.
We
Earl
love
Brown says, greetings from California. Pat says, Jack, agree with you. It must be engaging to the customer and interactive. Ron Usher, my favorite retired master tech, says, hello, everyone. And Paul Machine says, retailmenot.com mirrored Cox Auto, the customer journey, and they both show that the quality of the customer experience, the number one reason why consumers shopping online visited 1.2 stores before buying. I don't know about the 0.2 though. That's just the math. Pat says, wow, brilliant. 24-hour check-in. That is awesome customer experience. Customers lose $1.6 trillion per year due to customer churn. But despite this staggering number, many still struggle to improve the customer retention. 7 in 10 customers do not go back to a dealer for servicing, according to the latest Cox study that I saw. That's a staggering number given how many billions of dollars of money is in our industry. Ron Usher says, we also pulled the parts for some customers for the following day, oil filters, recalls, etc. So we would get the job quicker the next day. It won't work for all, but most small jobs it will work for. Paul Machine says, PPT, people, process, PPT, people, process, and technology. There's a reason why the people come first, but without the technology, there's frustration that sets in. Pat says, agree with Paul Machine, the 3 pillars of transformation solutions to implement a competitive advantage are people, development, improved processes, and sustainability. Linda Hansen says, Ron Usher pulling parts is a great best practice. How about looking for the appointment for special order parts the day they are ordered? We're usually safe booking a week out. That way we are managing back ordered parts rather than every ordered part. Yeah, some great comments here.
Yeah, and I've got one to add to it. So when the customer makes the appointment, we automatically run the VIN to see if there's any recalls on the vehicle. And today we have a lot of VIN-specific recalls. So I can't order the part from the OEM unless I have that VIN. Now we're asking the customer if they want to have that recall done, pushing to them the first available date in order to do it when we know the part will be there, because as soon as they make the appointment, we push it to the parts department and say, hey, this customer's coming in on Friday. Here is their VIN number. Here is the recall. Order the part now. Because there's nothing more, and it's happened to me where you go to a dealership for an oil change or what have you, and the guy says, yeah, there's a recall on your car. Oh, great. You want to do it? Well, I can't do it today because there's a part that needs to be done and it takes 3 days to get it. Can you come back in 4 days?
I don't want to come back.
Let's get over that. Yeah. So this is a process where let's look down the road. Let's not just think about what they want tomorrow. Let's look down the road. Where are we going to be? What do we need? And can we have it here in time for them so that they do 1 visit, not 2? Now, when Nicole talked about remote technician, very important that we all be on the same page here. We're never going to change anybody's oil in their driveway. That's not what we're talking about when we're talking about remote technician. What we're talking about are these, and everybody that's listening in will be familiar with this. You know, these silly recalls that we have to do that we get paid 3 or 4 tenths on. And that car comes into the drive and there's a porter that's there, and then there's an advisor that writes the RO, and then the porter brings the car out back, and then the technician goes and gets the car. He brings it in. He does the update. Then he hands it off to cleaning, and they wash him back. And then the porter gets it back, and he parks it somewhere. And then the advisor goes over and talks to the customer and says, "I've got your paperwork, and let me just bring you up to the cashier so you can sign, even though there's no charge. And then let me walk you out. Have a porter walk you out to your car." We got paid 3 tenths to do that job. 9 employees touched the paperwork, and it took an hour and a half. What if I could have a technician at your door to do that software update?
Love it.
So it's very important when we talk about mobile technician that everybody understands that we're not out in left field here. We don't expect that you're going to be doing oil changes, but you will still be able to do not a complete, but a partial multi-point inspection whilst you're there. You're going to be able to check the filters, the brake fluid, coolant. You're going to be able to check the tires and the brakes. And if you so wish, once that video is then made and goes to the customer, it has a link that says, make an appointment online. So we're not missing the opportunity that a recall provides, which for me is recall spelt a different way, is spelt opportunity.
Right.
Once I have the car in, I have an opportunity to look at it and see if I can do something. So the big thing is, yeah, let's make it more convenient. Let's make it more efficient by doing it at the customer's home or office, but let's not lose that added opportunity.
I love the fact that at the point of appointment is when you scan and check for recalls, and then default the scheduler to when that part is anticipated to be in. I mean, that's brilliant. I didn't think about that, but I know I've heard many times, we have to order this part, and look, let's face it, recall parts aren't always readily in stock, right? They're just not.
No, and more of them today are becoming VIN specific. So you can't, even if you know that customer's coming in, you can't order that part unless you have the VIN.
Right.
So I know the customer's got a 2018, Volkswagen, whatever, and I know it's got a recall, but I don't have the VIN, so I can't order the part. Now we do it.
Wow. You've saved time and money at the interaction point, and you've saved time and money because they don't have to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can tell you that the guys at Fixed Ops Pro that we've partnered up with, they were so excited about this particular feature. They thought it was just fantastic. And they're a great bunch of guys over there. We love working with them. Super knowledgeable. Again, I find myself at great ease with them because just like me, they're car guys. They're not, they're car guys. They understand the car business because that's where they come from.
Now, Linda Hansen says, great insights, Jack. And Steve Apicella, I believe technology enhances the dealer-customer personal touch points by technologically removing the unwanted obstacles that strain the relationship. The real end game is to create one frictionless journey before and after the sale, rather than disconnected parts of journey. Digital engagement and a customer's experience is where business is earned, retained, or lost today. I mean, that's some great stuff there. You're thinking about things that are real situations that oftentimes aren't thought about until you're there. And you're thinking about
that young man that just made that comment just stole my sales pitch, because that's exactly what we're all about. That's our pitch. That is our pitch.
Mm-hmm. It's so aligning. And I think who was on last week with Black Book, he had mentioned that service advisors should be selling cars, and they are the ones doing that, or they should be doing. It was an appraisal, right, and buying the used cars from the service drive. Well, Jack, because I think Jack, because you have both experience with both sides, both sales and service, you saw that and built that into Carmen. So when you were reading that comment, I just wanted to pull this up. So the very last question that's asked to every single customer when they book through Carmen is, would you like to have your vehicle appraised while in the service department? And once that question is answered, yes, I mean, you could go down a rabbit hole with that customer. That customer is giving you all the buying signs, and to make that perfect, continuous, to keep that customer coming back to you as even a brand loyalty, that's how you do it. Switch them straight through service. Absolutely agree with that.
Any good general manager or fixed ops director or owner will tell you that the salesman will sell the first car, but the service department will sell the next 5. How we treat the customer, how they find the service experience, and then make it easy for them. I mean, as Nicole says, what a great buying signal. And then furthermore, add into that our management of the loaner vehicles. I know this person is driving a Toyota Corolla. You know what? Why don't we do this? When they come in, why don't we give them a Camry as a loaner? Let's move them up a step and give them this is a test drive. You have a loaner that just became a test drive. You've told us you want your car appraised. Here's your test drive.
Yeah.
And that same situation works with lease expiration. Every time a lease is expiring, coming up new, hey, have you thought about your next car purchase? So, and that's a great segue into e-commerce. This is hands down my absolute favorite thing about Carmen and the opportunity that it brings for the dealerships, right? So why does a dealer want Carmen other than making it so much easier for your customer to check in, to get that utilized? We lower the manual tasks by replacing the manual tasks that your employees do at the dealership with automation, right? And how do we help you make money? This is where e-commerce comes into play. So you've heard of e-commerce. E-commerce is selling via algorithms. So every time you are on Amazon and you see at the very bottom, Paul, when you've purchased something that says, other people who have purchased this item have also purchased this. And, we recommend you purchase this with that item. How many times? Everyone, right? Everyone has seen that. So what that is a mix of the machine learning. So literally exactly what it sounds. The machine has learned to predict and recommend what you need. And that is all this AI BS. I won't cuss on your podcast, but everything that you hear, really all AI it's machine learning. And so the machine has learned, and now it can predict almost to a scary success rate what this customer will purchase because of past history.
Right. And other people like you.
And other people, yes, exactly. So what Carmen does is analyzes past history, but not only for in this example, it says an A4, but she's also going to look at where you live. Right? What's the weather like? What's the season? And that way she can predict certain things. And so, hey, it's raining. The data for us are past ROs. Right? Any past RO, we've noticed this customer hasn't had windshield wipers in 2 years. Let's pop that up. Right? Think of that. If you saw the documentary Social Dilemma, anyone that's listening, if you have seen Social Dilemma, comment. It's awesome. Right? But that's how Facebook works. Google works. We have this type of technology in Carmen. And I get so excited because also partnerships, if you really, partnering with Fox Pros or like let's say PermaShield, any type of upsell, the OEMs and accessory mats, your warranty packages, you have 5 different tiles that you can upsell the customer with. And service managers that are out there, I can guarantee all 5 of these will be talked about with every single customer every time.
And you don't get that from a human. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say we're all familiar with the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've been saying for the last few years, 95-5 is the new 80-20. So to get somebody to touch all these 5 touch points every time, it's probably not going to happen. It might happen for a little bit, but it's not going to happen consistently over time. It's not hardwired into the person's DNA. This is hardwired into the software. So it's not going to happen.
And honest. Oh, go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
And it's funny that you say that. With our other company, Quick, we have seen, and we've got the data, we've got the proof, we've got the ratios. If a technician identifies 7 items and hands that repair order to the advisor, how many will the advisor actually share with the customer? 2, maybe 3. It's very hard to sell 7 if you only present 3.
Right.
Now, the other one of that is that, nationally, the closing ratio on MPI identified work is about 30%. And that's exactly why, because only 50% is being presented. With our other company, we have proven, we've shown that we've got the data, we've got dealers that can step up to the plate and say, yes, this is it. We've got dealers at 82% closing ratio on MPI identified work, which is a telephone number. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And this is what we will see with Carmen. And the key is 100% of the recommendations, or in this case, the additional items, are being presented 100% of the time. You know that old adage, Paul. If you don't swing, you're never going to hit.
Right.
You gotta swing the bat, and that's what Carmen does. It swings the bat every single time.
It's just like the better F&I managers are the ones that present more of the things, because this is not. Some people see it as a threat. We're getting rid of the individual. We're not. It's merely an enhancement, right? I'm a scuba diver, okay? Yeah, can I snorkel? Yeah, that's fun. But with scuba diving, I can still enjoy it, but I can enjoy it longer. So with enhancements, a tool that does all these things that I'm not always going to remember to do, or I may not always be in the mood to do, this is kind of helping you along. I see it a whole lot different now. But let me go to a couple of comments. Paul Machine says, "Pow, Bruce Lee is so proud of you, Grasshopper. 100% walk around appraisal, MPI, WU every day, every time, without exception, without fail." And Ron Usher says, "We curse all the time on this podcast."
Good to know.
Linda Hansen says, "Ron Usher, we are car people." And Paul Machine says, "Hey, bada bada swing."
I love that. So, well, if we go back to a little, just that e-commerce part right here, I mean, the possibility for the dealer is endless, really, on what they want presented. And it's a whole different customer experience, right? And it's all done before the customer gets there. And you brought up a good point. What about the advisor? Well, what I want an advisor to do is to explain to me what a CV boot is, and if I don't get my brakes replaced, why I'm going to break my front axle, and then my car's going to stop in the middle of the road. Because when I was 26 years old, that happened to me, right? I went to get my car serviced, and they're like, "Your brakes are in the red." Okay, what does that mean? Your brakes are in the red. Like, I have no idea, but they're so busy doing this like manual tasks stuff that could all be automated.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, no, I love it. As a matter of fact, you know, we're going to talk about something else offline. This is good.
I'll even go a step further than that. So, Paul, you just had knee surgery done recently. So, you made an appointment. You went in. You saw the doctor. The doctor said, "Call me back, and I'll, give you the diagnosis." So you called back. Did you want to speak to the receptionist, the nurse, or the doctor?
I prefer to speak to the doctor.
Okay. When I bring my car to the dealership, who's the doctor?
The technician.
The technician. Who do I want to talk to? The technician. Who do I never get to talk to? The technician. Okay, so with our other company, what we did was we built in a platform where the technician could make a video. So it's a one-way conversation, and he sends out the information on what needs to be done, why it needs to be done, but with visual proof. And at that point, and then we send it out with pricing and everything else. And at that point, the customers just approve the work right on their phone. I could show you hundreds of ROs at multiple thousands of dollars where the customer just approved it on their phone. Why? Because this is familiar. This is what I do in other industries and other segments of my life. So this is not new to me. This is normal to me. Now, what Carmen does is takes that and puts it on the other side where the customer is not at the store. We haven't seen the car, but we're going to push things to it. But one big thing about Carmen that we haven't spoken about is when you're scheduling, most dealers schedule based on advisor availability. Right. Advisors don't do the work on the cars. Why are we doing this? This makes no sense. Why aren't we scheduling on technician skill and availability? Now I know. So that's what Carmen does. There's no point in having it done by advisor availability. What does that mean? I've got somebody available to write up the RO, but who's going to do the work?
Not that guy.
Schedule it based on not only the availability of technicians, but also their skill set. Mm-hmm. There's no point in me accepting a vehicle in for a transmission if my transmission guy is booked up or he's off that day. That makes no sense. So we have to do it based on, this is the right way to do it. This is the way we should have always been doing it. But we didn't have the technology to do it. Mm-hmm. And we certainly didn't have the skill set in the BDC answering the phone to know how long this job was going to take, or the service advisor. I mean, 95% of service advisors in the US have never spun a wrench. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times I stand behind it. Yeah, I can't tell you the amount of time I stand behind an advisor listening to them explaining something. I want to pull my hair out. I'm like, that is not it. That's not what the problem is. Why are you making stuff up? But they do it all day, every day. And the reason they get away with it is the people on the other end of the phone know a little less than them. So that's how they're getting away with it. But it's a mistrust. I mean, anytime would you buy something you don't understand? And the answer is no. I'll buy something I think I need, but I won't buy something I don't understand. What I'll do is I'll take it somewhere else for a second opinion to see if I need it.
Yeah.
And then once I'm there, I'll go, you know what, go ahead and do it, because I don't want to have to drive all the way across town again. So the dealer who found the work, he loses because they went somewhere else. And they didn't go somewhere else for a better price. They went somewhere else for a second opinion. So the whole thing is once we get that customer in, kill them with kindness, give them more information than they ever thought possible. Give them, a technician explanation. Give them video proof. Give them pricing. Give them everything they need to make an informed purchasing decision. Mm. So what I'm going to say now is going to go against everybody's grain. We're out of the sales business and fixed ops. We're out. We've been doing it the same way for 100 years, and our closing ratio is 30%. We suck. Okay? So if it's not working, we got to fix it. So now we're in the information business. Give the consumer as much information to make that informed purchasing decision. And trust me, they will. And they will, especially now, because everybody is cash rich because they haven't been able to spend money for the last 18 months.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Car dealers, 2020 will go down as the best year in the automobile industry ever. Period. End of story.
It's the highest point in time where people are paying down debt because they have money. They have money.
Yep.
Wow, that's incredible stuff. Paul Machine says, no. Joe Perez, Fixed Ops Pros is very excited for our new partnership with Carmen.
Yay.
The match made in heaven. What we do at Fixed Ops Pros, what you do at Carmen, there's some good stuff happening there. Paul Machine, WU equals right up. It's been a long day, Paul. I've been up working from early morning, and I'm having 2 coffees because I'll be working till probably over midnight. I have so much work to do right now that it's not even funny. Paul Machine says, hey, Joe, and Paul says, thank you, Nicole, for mentioning our show last week. I always share with dealers, why spend thousands targeting unknown customers to visit your showroom, and you have 1,500 ROs a month visiting your service? Go beyond just what you need to, just what you do. Just go beyond just what do you need today.
Yeah, I could not agree more with that last show, how vital Carmen was such a good part of that. What he was talking about the whole entire time. I'm like, this is exactly what we believe in.
And the beautiful thing is, and Brian Benstock, who I see as a very forward thinker, has proved that by making it simple, by making it touchless, he doubled his ROs, double. Because I think you said they see the advisor as a salesperson. Somebody's going to sell them something, and the model has changed. We don't sell anymore. We help people buy, and we help them buy by presenting everything, so the green and everything in between, and they'll make an educated choice. They'll appreciate the fact that you treated them with respect. You treated them like they had a brain enough to explain to them, hey, you don't need this, it's still good. This is in a gray area. This one you definitely have to do now. What are your intentions? How long are you planning on keeping the car? But I haven't forgotten anything because everything is laid out. And I love the other things at the end. You said up to 5 items that you can add. You know, one could say upsell, the other could say offer opportunity. Right?
We like to retain 3 of them. So you know, when Nicole talked earlier on about the machine learning, you know, we're looking at what other people in that demographic are purchasing based on time and mileage and location. We did a study in Ireland, and this one's funny. We've got about 50 stores in the Republic of Ireland, and I had one of those aha moments. I wonder what would happen if we tried this. So we decided that, and they're on kilometers over there. So we decided that every car that came in with more than 75,000 kilometers, we would ask them, would you like to buy new floor mats? I said, let's see what happens. So we did it for a month. 28% said yes.
Jack,
28%.
Floor mats on used cars. Nobody.
28% of the people do if they're asked. And that's the incredible point. What would happen if? And so we tried it, and that's what we came up with. Now, we're taking that to new levels with the OEMs in conjunction with the dealers, where when the customer comes in, if their extended service plan, if their service plan has expired or is about to expire, we will push to them the option to purchase an extended service plan. But, and this is the key, and especially with millennials, because millennials don't carry credit cards. They're all about flexible payments. So when we push this to them, we would lay out, so you could purchase this extended service plan, which will take you another 30,000 miles. And then we'll show them all of the things that would be included and what it would cost if they went into the dealership. Then we showed them the saving and what they could buy this product for, or for as little as $49.95 a month. Now, once the customer purchased that extended service plan, trust me when I tell you, that's called retention.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going anywhere else. Exactly. So we're taking all of this to a different level with the OEMs and the dealers' involvement, right down to accessories. So you bought a Toyota 4Runner. Do you want a bicycle rack? Do you want a luggage rack? Do you need a tow hitch? You want running boards. Why do I ask you if you want running boards? Because I know your vehicle didn't come with them. Because we decode the VIN down to the trim level. So I know your vehicle didn't come with running boards. So I want to ask you if you want them. And only by asking a consumer if they may want something, are you giving them the opportunity to say, you know what, that's a great idea. Yes, I will. And I love that I can pay for it over time. And especially millennials. And 40% of our customers today are millennials.
And if you offer somebody something that will enhance their ownership experience, you're doing them a disservice by not offering that to them. But most of the time, they won't be offered. They just won't. The floor mat thing, Jack, I got to tell you, that blew me away. I've never seen a customer, and I've been in this 41 plus years, I've never seen a customer that owned a 4 or 5 or 6-year-old car come into the dealership looking to purchase a set of floor mats. But guess what? Most of those cars, the floor mats look like crap.
Well, let me ask you a question, Paul. Yeah. Have you ever heard anybody at the dealership offering new floor mats to that customer?
Never.
And that's the key right there. 100% of the products, 100% of the time. Better swing.
Every show, I get a nugget here, a nugget there, a nugget there, and I hear from the audience because they message me or in conversation, they tell me they pick up things every week from somebody. Oh my God, this is so great! I'm so thankful that you guys came on and shared all the stuff that you shared, because it has to reframe the conversation from what people's understanding was prior to really hearing more, right? Communication is the biggest blessing and the biggest curse in life today, in every facet of life. Any problem that happens can be tracked to a communication issue. And when people communicate, there are two modes. There's you listen to understand, or you listen to respond. And in the dealer world, we have a different twist on that. We listen to dismiss. Okay? We're listening, we're having a conversation, but we're listening for the trigger word or words that we hear that connects to the pre-recorded thing on the other side that says, oh, we got that covered already. But hey, listen, thanks a lot for coming in. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody, the person at the dealership puts their arm around the shoulder and says, yeah, no, that's a great idea, but we have that all covered. As they're walking towards the door gets pushed open and the person gets pushed out because they're listening for the trigger word. The stuff that you guys uncovered here, just wow, that's incredible. I really hope that others have taken away some of the same things I have from this. Are there any final questions that we have? Let's see here. Joe Perez says, good evening, my brother, Paul Machine. Joe Perez says, Paul, that was a great show last week. Tons of great info. Absolutely loved it. Ron Usher, Dr. Ron Usher, retired. Joe Perez says, thank you, brother Joe. And Paul Machine says, Brian Benstock, he is part of the Bring It To Me economy. Otherwise known as the bite me economy. I love that, Paul. That's a great way to put it. So thank you guys. Jack, Nicole, thank you very much for being on the show. The audience, thank you guys. I appreciate your support every week. And we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks again.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.